As it turns out, there are four items that I found in my loft whilst I was kind of cleaning it up last week that I was going to sell, but I haven't really quite got the urge to do so yet. Now, for those of you who know about it, the series Ben 10, I'll give you the quick gist of it. It revolves around a boy named Ben Tennyson who finds an alien watch called the Omnitrix, which falls from space in a kind of shell, and it attaches to his arm, and it gives him the ability to morph into 10 different aliens. I think it was Nickelodeon, but again, don't quote me on that. Wanted to obviously make a toy line from it, so they did, and they made 4 types of the Omnitrix, one for each of the series. Now, I bought 3 of them, and I got one for Christmas, and I'll quickly show you what they look like. So this is what the 4 of them look like. And then I'm going to give you the quick squiz about each one. So this is the original. This is the one I got for Christmas about 3-4 years back. I can't actually get this on my wrist. Not for the fact that my wrist is big enough, because it does actually fit. The reason I can't get it to stay is because it's got these grips, and these are notoriously difficult to get to stake, because for a person like me, I mean, bet this works now. So what you have to do is it's one of those kind of push-pull type things, but because they're made of plastic as well, when you put it on, it doesn't want to sit in the position that you have it in. I stand corrected. So it's got obviously power on, try me, and power off. So if we switch it on to proper, make sure the thing's down. Now it only obviously it's a light and noise device. I did have a 5th one, which was like a massive version of this, but I gave that away actually to a little kid who lived up the road from my mum and dad, and it was like a little game, so you had to choose the alien that the Omnitrix told you to turn into, and then you have to slap it down, and then it would do like a little animation. So in this one, but this one just does lights and sounds. So here we go. So if I turn around, so as you can see, it lights up. The actual control switch is just a little button here. Press that, that's to get it ready. And then on here, let's take this off. You've got, in the cartoon, this would actually open and close. So this is it in its closed mode. And then when it's open, it would cycle through, and then this would be a lot bigger. And then it would come up with the image of the actual alien. But obviously, this is only a plastic toy, so it's not going to work. So what they've done is they've put a little window here. I can't get to focus where. So here you've got, I'm going to cycle through them. So you've got Heat Blast, and every time you change it, it does this. Wild Mutt, Stinkfly, Diamond Head, Accelerate, who's that? Ripjaws, Forearms, Grey Matter, Upgrade, Ghost Freak, and then we're back round, and then it was Wild Mutt, the last one. And then when you pick said one that you want, you press this down. And then it does that little noise animation, and then it flicks round the various lights. So it's got lights in the 4 little tubes that actually connect all around on the actual cartoon version. This one doesn't, it's just a blank plate. Weirdly enough, I've had this for a good few years, and it's been used quite a lot with like a couple of the kids who I know who, you know, happen to know my parents and that sort of stuff, and I've always got little toys that I've left at home so they can use. And this has been used quite a lot, and I've never had to change the batteries. So that shows you how good it's been. I don't know what the time limit on this, because in the cartoon he actually had a limit on it for how long each one would last. But when it times out, it will do one more sound effect, and then right, so that's it finished. And then there's nothing different. It's just on repeat for regardless of whatever alien you use. So that's that one, and this one's actually, oh, what's that? In need of a clean, I've just noticed. I just realised there was crud all over it. It's probably where I've had it in a box in my loft. Oh, it just comes off. Right, so if I recall, the Ben 10 series had this particular Omnitrix for about, because I did buy the box set because it was on cheap in my big branch of Tesco many moons ago, and that lasted, I believe, about 2 seasons. Then they had a bit of a break, and then obviously they changed it so that Ben grew up, and it's about a year, I think, maybe 2 years on, and the Omnitrix, he puts it back on after it took a while to get rid of it, take it off, I should say, and after what, it reconfigures into this form, which is more like a wristwatch rather than sort of like the big bulky thing that he had at the start. This one does one. This is all of these just do lights. That's it. There's nothing new about it. So on this one, it does this. In the cartoon, rather than having the little display symbol come up, he would press. So this one's got the on and off switch here. There's a release switch here, and then these ones, I don't know what these buttons do on the side. They did do something, but I'm not sure. And you press this, and then whereas the other one, you press it, it will repeatedly keep going, but this one doesn't. It brings up a hologram. When you spin this, so in the cartoon, he would turn that and it would select. Basically, it does the job of this dial here, and it will give it a hologram display. Now, when you buy it, you automatically get this one, which is Swampfire. And if I think I'm wrong on this, but every time he got an Omnitrix, the first one he always picked was a fire type. I'm not sure about that, but I know for the first and this one, that is the case. Actually, yes, it is. For the next one, it is. I don't know about the most recent one. Anyway, from what I can gather, each one of these holograms has got, obviously, this little plate on the bottom, and it's got notches in. And inside the actual head, I suppose, in here, there are little grooves, and I think they all connect in. And this goes in one way. There you go. So that would sit in there, and then when you put it down, it's going to register what alien this is. So if I'm right, where's the speaker? There it is. So then it would continue on, it just flashes. And now I don't recall this one having a timeout. I think that is literally it. And once it's done, you can spin that as much as you like, but it's not going to do anything. I think, actually now I think about it, I think these are just to release the alien, but I'm not sure. So that, I can actually press them in properly now. Oh, I know what it is. These two switches on the side, these are to stop this from being pushed down prematurely. I'm guessing that's when you're putting this on. So that's that. And then in the cartoon, he activates the self-destruct, destroying this watch. He then goes over to the next character, who is a guy called Albedo, who has made his own version, which is this, but his version is red. And then obviously Ben takes it off him and it turns into this colour. Now, these all come with these little discs, and these do open up because it's like a little hinge, and then when you push it, it automatically folds back up. This one is Ultimate Humongousaur, and if I recall, in the cartoon, it's the same principle as the previous one, where they all had a turn dial. This one, actually, you can turn this as much as you like. This doesn't do anything regarding the actual device itself, it just makes that click noise. This one has actually got a Velcro one, whereas this one is like a tough version of the one I just showed you on the first one. Now this one I cannot put on by myself because it's not necessarily clunky as such, it's just very cumbersome because I can hold it like that perfectly fine, but then trying to actually get it to connect to your wrist, I mean, this requires it to be bent quite heavily. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is smaller than that, but these actual grippers are not very easy to actually get to stick, so that's why I never bothered. However, this one is just on Velcro, and this one is a hell of a lot easier, and they kind of morphed it around an actual person's wrist. So obviously, because I'm an adult, so it's going to be a bit too small for me, but this is me with it on its like loosest notch, as it were. In this one, the Omnitrix itself has a couple of different versions. So whereas the previous two in the cartoon, he found it extremely difficult to take off, this one all you had to do was just press this and the whole thing just grew a bit bigger, and then he just slipped it off, and then just put it back on, and then that was it. Same principle as this. So it does its light up, so I'll do it again. So that means it's ready. Like I said, this actual turn dial doesn't do anything, it just makes that clicking noise. However, inside, on the top, it's got these notches, like little so it makes the same noise. Okay. So I'm going to slide in, and the Ultimate Humongousaur disc would slide in the side, so it goes like, and it's the same principle. So it's got notches along the inside, so when it climbs in, you press the middle, it presses down on that top middle one, and then the corresponding notches on either side, there's two per side. So it does this. Right, so that means it's loaded, and then you press this button here, and this happens. Now it's obviously in its ultimate mode, and then when you're done, you just press it and press back down, and then you can slide it out when you don't need it. So that's that one. Now, from what I've seen, I've not really watched the series after the original one. I've seen bits on YouTube before, and that's kind of where I've continued. That one eventually malfunctions, and then that gets completely destroyed. And he finally gets the final Omnitrix, which is this one. And I have got it upside down, I believe. Yeah, so it's this way up. Now, this one comes just as it is. Now, on the side, it's got these three, if you can see it, these three holes. These are apparently to do with voice boxes. Oh, sorry, not voice boxes. Like modules, I suppose. Each one that you would plug in would automatically connect it so you could do something different with it. And on this one, I'll show you. So that's on, nothing happens, there's no twist dial or anything on this one. All you have to do is you press this switch on the side, and then this top plate will flip open. Oh, turn off. Right, that's on. So in the new version, it's got like a hologram ring that comes up. So he would press the top, which is, this is on a double hinge, and it just clips down. And it should actually hold up like that, but my version just clips forward. I haven't really had to play around with this properly, if I'm honest, so I don't know what everything does. However, on the side, you can see it says 1 to 3. So each one, I believe, if we start on the first one, so you would put your finger on the first one, and I believe this one actually gives you the names of the aliens. And I've only managed to unlock 1 or 2, and it's been a while. So you press your finger on here, that kind of empty space, and go up, and that's blocks. It does take a bit of practice, but so you do. I don't quite know how I got the other one. That one was actually by accident. So we flick it to 2. It does like, shut up. It does this little humming noise. It cycles through the old noises. And the third one, it's just this. That's just the noises of the original ones. And then if we put it back to its original, we press it down. And it just makes the noises up. Pull it back down. And that's about it. So we switch it off. And now, as far as I'm aware, this current one is still in circulation. So that's the 4 Omnitrixes, really. I was considering selling them, but I've kind of had to think about it and decided against it. Oh, this has actually got the same premise as the original, which is with these little clamps. Now, the difference being is that whereas the gauntlet one, the third one, that one actually sits quite nicely. This one, however, it's got the slightly tougher plastic, and for someone like me to put this on myself is actually very, very difficult. I mean, I've only managed to get 1 clip on there, maybe 2, but this is so big that even on a child that would feel heavy. I mean, it's just sliding around all over the place. I mean, I know it is. I'm an adult. I'm not gonna lie. You can kind of tell that. But they need to find a way to make that lighter. That's my only gripe with it. So that's the 4 Omnitrixes. Now it's 10:05, and I'm going to get ready. I'm going to bed because I'm bloody knackered. So this time I will see you anon. Good night.